Hi, this is Sue Greenwald with Awakened Stories. I'm here today with Deanna Carr with the Mystical Moonlight. Hey Dee, how are you?
I'm good today. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Today's topic is Mermaids Part 2. We had talked about mermaids last fall, and we got some great information, but we kept running out of time, so we didn't cover everything. Can you believe it? So we talked a lot about sirens, and I thought we could summarize the abilities of sirens again. And probably if the viewer went back to watch that video, it would be helpful. And then we could talk about other types of mermaids, if that's okay.
Yes.
All right. So sirens are we'll call it a subsection category of mermaids. And
Mhm.
you said that they called a specific person down to the depths. Like we've heard the tales of the sailors jumping overboard, but
Mhm.
they would only call one person that they wanted overboard. The person would somehow agree, okay,
Mhm.
go overboard, and they would be able to breathe underwater. Is that what you said?
Yeah. Yes. So they had the ability to turn them into like mermen. So they would, like they said, bring in a specific person that they wanted. There's basically like their souls were calling to each other.
Yeah.
So the person, had to choose to either go or not. Now, sirens are, tempting, so most would jump overboard,
Okay.
even though they didn't know it was going to happen.
Yeah. So how would they, agree to do this? Like how is that done? Like either they jump overboard or they don't, I guess is the answer, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they jump, they're pretty much transformed. Um, most of them transformed, so it's not like there was any that died off of, going down and not transforming. And then you have the sailors that would try to stop themselves before they jumped over. So, you know, if they went over, they were pretty much, hey, I'm here.
Okay. Okay. So that's really how the species of the sirens like continued because then they had someone to mate with and they lived down there. The men that jumped overboard would live. They weren't like dead forever. And
Yeah.
everybody was like pretty happy, it sounds like.
Yes.
All right. Now, you also said that mermaids had the power to become invisible. All right. Any other abilities that they had that we might have forgotten about?
I mean, they have like super swim speed where they can like go really fast. They can manipulate and work with the water. Um, I don't know. I
Okay.
mean, it's kind of like everything. Like everything has a lot of abilities. Some have it, some don't. Some choose not to use their powers. I mean, it's like anything, but they do. I mean, they have more powers within the water that's around them. So they're more potent and like pronounced when they're in the water.
Yeah. Okay. So again, we had talked a lot about the sirens in that previous video. So if you
Mhm.
want to know more about them, that would be a good place to start. And we did talk about other things, but we just ran out of time. Um,
Yeah.
so I don't know all the we'll call them categories of mermaids. So what would you
Mhm.
call the regular mermaids, like what we think of when we think of a mermaid? Re regular mermaids.
Mermaids, yeah. I mean, I just call them mermaids. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, there maybe somebody else has a different name for them, but I just call them mermaids because that's usually like the base idea of what a mermaid is. Sirens are a little different. So that would be like their subcategory.
Okay. Okay. Do mermaids use technology? And of course, when we think of technology, we think of machines, mechanical technology, but they have non-mechanical technology, right?
Yeah, yeah. So they have technology. They do incorporate it where they're at. Like you said, it's different than our technology. It's actually more advanced. That's why they are so good at hiding.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, most people haven't really seen them, and when they are caught on camera, it's more by accident than purposeful.
right. Okay,
Mhm.
so they have super swim speed, they can go invisible. What other kinds of technology might they have?
Uh, they can manipulate elements, mostly water, but I mean there are ones that are capable of working with different elements. How do you think they have everything made for them? Um, there, a lot of us think that if they make stuff, it's like caveman style, like hammer and shell type thing. But no, they are able to manipulate it and form it within their ideas so they can use their, telepathic ability to transform and manipulate materials.
And they communicate with each other, I assume. Mm,
Yes.
okay. Now, do mermaids live in houses? Do they live in caves? Do they have a place to reside?
Yeah. I mean, everything has a place to reside, it's just different. Theirs is what they would consider a house, but it's not like what we live in. It's, more organic, free form, shell-like, um, building underwater. Like, I don't know how else to describe it, but yeah, they do have a place where they reside. It's kind of like its own little civilization versus, like I said, like an idea of like kind of caveman, like
Yeah,
under the water.
yeah.
They do have a civilization, more advanced than us. They have a lot of capabilities and they work really well together and they do help protect the ocean and creatures around them.
Wow, okay, yeah. So
Mhm.
they have a society structure, they're more advanced than us. Did they originate on other planets then?
Some of them, yes, a lot of them, no.
Okay,
So some of them were previously here, but a lot of them did come from different planets,
okay.
and
So
they do not have the ability to portal out.
portal out or whatever, that was a main,
Mm.
do they have a mission here? Or are they just living?
They do and they don't. So some of them do have missions to be here. Um, One of the bigger goals that they have is to help the ocean, help the sea creatures. So that's why they work with the whales and the dolphins. Um, so like I said, they some of them do have a mission, but for the most part, they just want to live in peace
Yeah.
and tranquility.
Right, right. And so
Mhm.
when a human swims near them, they turn invisible rather than be
Yeah.
detected, for obvious reasons, because they're captured and tortured and studied, right?
Hold on.
Oh, here we go. I can't hear you. So our sound is being sabotaged again. Okay, so
Yes.
we were talking about mermaids live in houses. They have a telepathy to communicate. They live in family groups. They're helping to protect the ocean and the seas
Hmm.
and super swimming speed. What other abilities do they have that we don't know about?
Uh, their big one, I think I already said was, manipulation of elements. So water, rocks, they can work with, natural elements like seaweed, other plants down there. So they have a easier time growing and, planting what they need in the ocean.
Okay.
Because most of them like to have more of a vegetarian/vegan diets, and so they can get all their protein and that kind of stuff from vegetable type things that they can grow in the water.
All right. I think, so you said some are from other planets, some aren't.
Mhm.
Um, okay, what other types of mermaids are there other than the regular mermaids?
Well, you have your regular your regular mermaids that live in the ocean, but there are like freshwater mermaids that are a little bit different. They're almost, I don't know if I want to say like, nah, they're not really siren like, but they do more come on land, but they do live towards the fresh water. So for those states that are in the middle of the country, if there's fresh water, there could be mermaids there.
How cool
Um
is that?
yeah.
Yeah.
And they do have the same type of housing in a sense. It's just a little different. So instead of more of an oceanic type housing, they would have more of a freshwater type housing. The difference would be the materials they're working with.
And can they turn this housing invisible as well?
Yes, they can put a force field around it.
All right, so let's say they have, now do they live in families like we do, like, mother, father, child? Or do they live in communities in one dwelling?
Uh, it's a mixture. I mean, everybody likes to have space. It's more of a community style, so they have space, but they also, are together at the same time. So, each house is a little different. It depends on what the person wants,
Okay.
or the mer person wants. But they have the option to choose like the community style and or space.
Okay, and then they can shield it from humans.
Yes.
Okay. I know we've seen sea nymphs and mermaids before. Sea nymphs are a category of mermaid as well, but they are not as, I'm gonna call it human looking. Their faces are different.
Yeah, they're more fish-like.
Okay. And, do they have the same abilities as a mermaid?
Some of them, not really. They're mostly one-on-one with the creatures, versus the mermaids, which have a little more, powers and accessibility to other resources. They don't have as many powers as the mermaids do, mostly because they are a subspecies of fish and mer people.
Okay, okay. Is there any other questions or answers about mermaids that I haven't asked that we need to know?
Nothing's come to mind, of course. If people have questions, ask
Yeah,
because this is where, I don't know what you guys don't know. Mermaids are here for a purpose. They are going to start coming out more. They do transform most of them into human species. So you may actually have met a mermaid. They are a little different than us. There are some tells, but like I said, with everything, there are different, species and ways that they look. So it's just like anything, all of them are completely different. There's not one way they all look. So you may have met a mermaid. I don't know.
how cool is that? Yeah.
Yeah.
And you said before mermaids are like, they're kind of mad at the humans because we've really messed up the oceans. We've put chemicals in it and trash and all sorts of stuff. And then we're killing the whales and we're doing all this negative stuff. So they're pretty unhappy with us.
We're pretty much making their job horrible.
Yeah.
Like they're here for a reason. Whales and dolphins are doing what they can, but at the same time, mermaids are doing the same thing and they're there to help them. So they are more human than just, fish, if you want to say that. So they're able to experience a larger scale of emotions quite like ours. So they do get, more irritated and angry with us
Right.
versus the other species because they're like, okay, well, I still got to keep moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Is, is there a time in the very near future, so let's say within 2 to 3 years, that we'll be able to communicate with mermaids? I mean, I know some people can communicate now telepathically, but like the average person watching this video.
They're not going to communicate with everybody. There will be some people, but for the most part, they don't really want to have total communication with humans.
Yeah.
One, they like their privacy and they know as soon as they truly come out, they're going to be overwhelmed and bombarded. So they are going to want to keep their privacy. So that's pretty much meaning only cool people that are going to be low key and not overwhelm them and bombard them will be, invited. So think of it as more on the same like spiritual level as them versus ones that are going to be like fangirling it or whatever you want to call it.
Okay, that's a good way to say it. It's a good way to say
Yeah.
it. I guess that's it for now. I wanted to recap what we didn't hit the last time. And so what I guess what I say is whoever's watching this, if you've got more questions of any topic, send them over,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Are we good?
Yeah, we're good.
Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it, Dee. And I'll put her contact info in the description below if you want to contact her directly. Thank you so much.
Thanks.